student, this is Pratibha Singh again with you. Student, welcome back in my online classes. You know that very well, we are continuing our chapter, the best Christmas present in the world. We have completed our first part, and in first part we have read that the author wanted a desk, but he had no enough money to buy a new desk. That's why he went a junk shop, from where he bought a desktop that is not good in condition, but he thought that he decided to buy it because it was cheap. He would repair it himself. When he kept that desk in the garage, one of the drawers had jammed. When he pulled out the last drawer, he noticed that there was a secret drawer. And after opening the secret drawer, he got a small tin box, and there was a note paper written on the box. Jim's last letter received January 25th, 1915. And the owner of the letter, means जो letter का owner था, he or she had wished to letter to be worried with her or him. Now this is the second part of the lesson, and the author had opened the letter. Now let's start the second part of the chapter, the best Christmas present in the world. Dearest Connie, I write to you in a much happier frame of mind because something wonderful has just happened, that I must tell you about at once. We were all standing in our trenches yesterday morning, Christmas morning. It was crisp and quite all about as beautiful a morning as I've ever seen, as cold and frosty as a Christmas morning should be. I should like to be able to tell you that we began it. But the truth was, I'm ashamed to say, is that Fritz began it. First, someone saw a white flag waving from the trenches opposite. Then they were calling out to us from across no man's land, Happy Christmas, Tommy, Happy Christmas. When we had got over the surprise, some of us shouted back, Same to you, Fritz, same to you. I thought that would be that. We all did. But then suddenly one of them was up there in his grey greatcoat and waving a white flag. Don't shoot, lads, someone shouted, and no one did. Then there was another Fritz up on the parapet, and another. Keep your heads down, I told the men. It's a trick, but it was not. Student, the author had opened the letter, and that letter had been written by Jim to his wife Connie. He was the captain of English troop set against the Germans during the First World War. He expressed his happy state of mind as something wonderful had happened. It was a typical Christmas morning, cold and frosty, when Jim saw the German soldiers waving the white flag and emerging from their trenches to wish the English soldiers Happy Christmas. By this, the English soldier got surprised, but they also wished them in return. Earlier, they had thought this to be some kind of trick, but it was not. So, student, ये एक लेटर था जो कि लेखक को मिला, ऑथर को मिला, और ऑथर ने खोला इसे. ये लेटर जिम ने लिखा था अपनी वाइफ के लिए. जिम जो कि इंग्लिश आर्मी में एक कैप्टन है, और ये इंग्लिश आर्मी जर्मन के अगेंस्ट फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर में फाइट कर रही है, लड़ाई कर रही है. वो बताता है कि ये एक नॉर्मल क्रिसमस की सुबह थी, जैसे कि होती है, बहुत ठंडी, फ्रॉस्टी, कोहरे से भरी हुई. मगर वो अचानक से देखता है कि अपोजिट साइड की जो आर्मी है उधर से आवाज़ आती है, हैप्पी क्रिसमस टॉमी, हैप्पी क्रिसमस टॉमी, अ कॉमन इंग्लिश नेम यूज टू हियर रेफरिंग ब्रिटिश आर्मी. टॉमी कॉमन इंग्लिश नेम है जो कि यहाँ पे ब्रिटिश आर्मी के लिए यूज हुआ है. एंड उसके रिटर्न में वो भी बोलते हैं सेम टू यू फ्रिड्स, सेम टू यू. फ्रिड इज अ कॉमन नेम इन जर्मन एंड हियर इट इज यूज फॉर जर्मन सोल्जर्स. एंड सडनली वन ऑफ दैम, उनमें से एक, देयर वॉज इन हिज ग्रेट कोट, जो कि ओवर कोट में था, जो कि ग्रे कलर का था, वेविंग अ वाइट फ्लैग, लहराने लगा वाइट फ्लैग. वाइट फ्लैग मीन्स इट रिप्रेजेंट टू द पीस, एंड नो वन डिड, और किसी ने शूट नहीं किया. फिर एक दूसरा फ्रिड्स आया. फ्रिड्स कौन? जर्मन सोल्जर. एंड अनदर, एक और, कीप योर हेड्स डाउन, I told the man. And then the captain, means Jim McPherson, commanded that keep your heads down, अपने सिर नीचे करो. It is a trick, but it was not. ये एक चाल है, मगर ये कोई चाल नहीं थी. One of the Germans was waving a bottle above his head. It is Christmas Day, Tommy. We have snaps. We have sauces. We meet you. Yes. By this, there were dozens of them walking towards us across no man's land, and no a rifle between them. Little Private Morris was the first up. Come on, boys, what are you waiting for? And then there was no stopping them. I was the officer. I should have stopped them there and then, I suppose. But the truth is that it never even occurred to me I should. All along their line and ours, I could see men walking slowly towards one another. Grey coats, khaki coats, meeting in the middle, and I was one of them. I was part of this. In the middle of the war, we are making peace. Student, in this paragraph, we have seen that the Germans and the English soldiers are celebrating Christmas. They have sauces. Do you know about sauces? Sauces are the snacks. It is a mixture of meat cut into very small pieces and mix some spices that made into a long thin shape, cooked and served whole. ये एक तरह का स्नैक्स है जो कि मीट और कुछ स्पाइसेस बनाकर मीट के छोटे छोटे टुकड़े करके बनाया जाता है, एक साथ पकाया जाता है, उसके बाद सर्व किया जाता है. And they had snaps also. Snap means a kind of a German drink made from grain of fruits. Overall, they wanted to celebrate Christmas with each other. As an officer, Jim should be not allowed to celebrate Christmas with opposite army. But he couldn't. He was also the part of this celebration. You cannot imagine, dearest Connie, my feeling as I looked into the eyes of the Fritz officer who approached me, hand outstretched. Hans Wolf, he said, gripping my hand warmly and holding it. I am from Düsseldorf. I play the cello in the orchestra. Happy Christmas. Then an officer of the opposite army came in front of Jim MacPherson and shook his hand warmly and introduced himself. Hans Wolf. He was from Düsseldorf. Further, he told he played the cello in orchestra. Then he wished Christmas. Captain Jim MacPherson, I replied, and a happy Christmas to you too. I am a school teacher from Dorset in the west of England. Oh, Dorset! He smiled. I know this place. I know it very well. We shared my rum ration and his excellent sauces. And we talked. Connie, how we talked. He spoke almost perfect English. But it turned out that he had never set foot in Dorset, never even been to England. He had learned all he knew of England from school and from reading books in English. His favorite writer was Thomas Hardy. His favorite book, Far from the Madding Crowd. So, out there in no man lands, we talked of Bathsheba and Gabriel Oak and Sergeant Troy and Dorset. He had a wife and a son, born just 6 months ago. As I looked about me, there were huddles of khaki and grey everywhere, all over no man's land, smoking, laughing, talking, drinking, eating, etc. Hans Wolf and I shared what was left of our wonderful Christmas cake. Connie, he thought the marzipan was the best he had ever tasted. Student, do you know about marzipan? Marzipan is a kind of sweet covering on a cake from sugar, egg and almonds. Means कह सकते हैं बादाम का हलवा. I agreed. We agreed about everything and he was my enemy. There never was a Christmas party like it, Connie. Student, now I will explain this paragraph. Hans Wolf, the Fritz officer of German, has taken the initiative. He said that before joining army he used to play cello in an orchestra. Then Jim told him that he was a school teacher in Dorset. It was situated in the west of England. Hans Wolf pretended that he knew all about the place Dorset, but in reality, he knew about that place only through Thomas Hardy's novel Far from the Maddling Crowd. The huddles means the crowd of khakis means British army and greys means German army were all around in no man's land. They were merrymaking, dancing, drinking, eating, enjoying all the thing, etc. Jim wrote to Connie that Hans loved that tasty marzipan on the cake prepared by her. Whatever was left of that Christmas cake. He had further written that he had never seen or imagined a Christmas party like that. Both Jim and Hans agreed on the same point of view. Now, the next paragraph. Then someone, I don't know who, brought out a football. Greatcoats were dumped in piles to make goalposts, and the next thing we knew it was Tommy against Fritz out in the middle of no man's land. Hans Wolf and I looked on and cheered, clapping our hands and stamping our feet to keep out the cold as much as anything. There was a moment when I noticed our breaths mingling in the air between us. He saw it too and smiled. Jim McPherson, he said after a while, I think this is how we should resolve this war. A football match. No one dies in a football match. No children are orphaned. No wives become widows. I'd prefer cricket, I told him. Then we Tommies could be sure of winning. Probably. We laughed at that and together we watched the game. Sad to say. Student, both Jim and Hans, officers of English and German army, agreed on one point that the countries should not go for wars. Then Hans advised they should be resolve the war by football match. Then Jim said he'd prefer cricket as war left behind orphans and widows, but they should resolve all their issues by playing games like cricket or football. No one dies in game. Now next paragraph. Said to say Connie, Fritz won 2-1. But as Hans Wolf generously said, our goal was wider than theirs. So it was not quite fair. The time came, and all too soon, when the game was finished, the snaps and the rum and the sauces had long since run out, and we knew it was all over. I wished Hans well and told him I hoped he would see his family again soon, that the fighting would end and we could all go home. I think that is what every soldier wants on both sides. Hans Wolf said, "Take care, Jim McPherson. I shall never forget this moment, nor you." He saluted and walked away from me slowly, unwillingly. I felt he turned to wave just once, and then he became one of the hundreds of grey coated men drifting back towards their trenches. That night, back in our dugouts, we heard them singing a carol and singing it quite beautifully. It was Stille Nacht, Silent Night. Our voice gave them a rustling chorus of while Shepherd watched. We exchanged carols for a while and then we all fell silent. We had had our time of peace and goodwill, a time I will treasure as long as I live. The football game was over and the Frizz won. And after that, the time came to an end. The grey coats men drifted back to their trenches. Exchange of their carols took place for a while, followed by silence. Jim wrote that it was a time of peace and goodwill, a time that he would treasure for the rest of his life. स्टूडेंट, जो फुटबॉल मैच खेला गया तो उसमें फ्रिट्ज जीते, मतलब जर्मन जीत गए, और अब ये टाइम आ गया था कि वो एक दूसरे से अलग हो जाएं। हैंस वॉल्फ ने जिम मैकपर्सन से कहा, टेक केयर जिम मैकपर्सन, मैं तुम्हें कभी नहीं भूलूंगा और इस मोमेंट को भी कभी नहीं भूलूंगा। उसके बाद उसने सैल्यूट किया और ना चाहते हुए भी धीरे धीरे वो आगे की ओर बढ़ा। जिम मैकपर्सन चाहता था कि वो उसे एक बार मुड़कर देखे, और फिर देखते ही देखते वो सैकड़ों ग्रे कोटेड सोल्जर्स में समा गया, चला गया, उसमें ही चला गया। और उस रात जब अपने ड्रैग आउट्स में गए, ड्रैग आउट मीन्स अ शेल्टर फॉर सोल्जर्स मेड बाय डिगिंग अ होल इन द ग्राउंड एंड कवरिंग इट। वॉर में बड़े बड़े गड्ढे बना लिए जाते हैं जिसमें से सोल्जर्स फाइट करते हैं, जिसमें से शूट करते हैं और अपनी आपको कवर भी कर लेते हैं उसमें। रात के समय उन लोगों ने कैरल्स गाए। कैरल्स मीन्स जो क्रिसमस पे गाए जाने वाले गीत, और बहुत ही ब्यूटीफुली गाए। तो इधर से ब्रिटिश टीम ने भी उन्हें कोरस दिया, उन्होंने भी गाए गीत, एक्सचेंज किए एक दूसरे के कैरल गीत। उसके बाद दोनों तरफ सन्नाटा सा छा गया। पर जिम के लिए ये सबसे ही अच्छा क्रिसमस था जो कि वो अपनी लाइफ में कभी नहीं भूल सकता था। डियरेस्ट कॉनी, बाय क्रिसमस टाइम नेक्स्ट ईयर दिस वॉर विल बी नथिंग बट अ डिस्टेंट एंड टेरेबल मेमोरी। आई नो फ्रॉम ऑल that happened today how much both armies long for peace. We shall be together again soon, I'm sure of it. Your loving Jim. This is the last paragraph of the letter written by Jim to Connie. that they will celebrate next Christmas together. That war would be nothing but a distant and terrific memory. He knew that all that happened that day, how much both army long for peace. In the last, he conclude the letter and he assured that he will celebrate next Christmas with Connie. Thus, the letter has finished. Student, have a look the word meaning of this part. Number 1, standing to means taking up position. Number 2, trenches means a hiding place. Crisp means fresh weather. Frosty means cold. And number 5, weaving means oscillate. Number 6, got over means controlled. Number 7, let's means boys. Number 8, parapet means the wall on side of the wall or roof. Number 9, tricks means deceive some bodies. Number 10 means occurred, came to mind. Number 11, outstretched means extended, held out. Number 12, gripping means holding firmly. Number 13, cello. Cello means a musical instrument. Student, you will note down all the word meanings in your copy and you have to underline all the difficult words from part 2 and write down in your copy with the meaning of those difficult words. If you have any query, text message on my WhatsApp number. Thank you and have a nice day. Even though there was a war going on between two armies, the British and the Germans. They played football and celebrated